Kansas City was good to the A's. 43 runs in 4 games helped the Green and Gold sweep the Royals and essentially ruin their chance at a postseason berth. Tonight, the A's travel to Texas and take on the playoff-ready Rangers. The Rangers have the best record in the American League and are close to a division title. The A's are playing with confidence after their trip to KC and will look to delay the Rangers' celebration plans. It's game 1 of 3. A's, Rangers, next. Well, the A's are in Texas for the final time this weekend. We're at Globe Life Park on a Friday night, and Kendall Graveman's looking for his 11th win of the year. It's the first of a 3-game series. It's the Oakland A's and the Texas Rangers coming up on CSN California. Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Oakland A's baseball, along with Ray Fossey. I'm Glenn Kuiper. Well, if you're going to come into this ballpark and play the first-place Rangers, you better have some confidence, Ray, and the A's certainly have that. They started hitting on Monday night in Kansas City, and they didn't quit till the game was over last night.
I never knew that it had that many 4-game series, and for the first time, the A's swept the Kansas City Royals in the 4-game series. They did everything. They had 4 3-run home runs in the series. They scored the 43 runs. They outscored the Royals 43-12. Everything was working for the offense. The pitchers did a great job, but it was a great series to watch a bunch of young players pitch and young players hit and veterans play. Everybody did their part in helping the A's sweep the Kansas City Royals in that 4-game series. And it was just one of those things that momentum is your pitcher, but also momentum is your hitting, and the A's definitely did the hitting in Kansas City.
Speaking of hitting, the Rangers have a very good lineup. A couple of guys who very well may be in the Hall of Fame, Beltran and Beltre, but they are led in home runs by a 22-year-old Rougned Odor. Boy, he's something else, and he's a very young player, but man, he can hit.
Kai, how many times do we talk about players who swing hard regardless of the count? Odor does that. He swings hard every time he goes to the plate, and when he makes contact, he's not that big, but when he does make contact, the ball travels, whether it's to right field, to center field. He can hit fastballs, he hits breaking balls, he hits home runs. Look at the numbers and what he's done in the last 14 ball games. He's carrying this ball club. And you look at Beltre and what Odor has done. These are 2 pretty good ball players. One, the real veteran, and the youngster coming along.
And we got a good pitching matchup. You saw Kendall Graveman looking for his 11th win. He will be opposed by the veteran left-hander Cole Hamels, who is 14-5. So we are set to go from Globe Life Park. When we come back, we'll have lineups and first pitch. It's the first of 3, A's and the Rangers.
on CSN California is brought to you by Jack in the Box. Taste the all-new Jack's Brewhouse Bacon Burger today at Jack in the Box. Limited time only at participating restaurants. By Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by America's Tire. Your low-price journey starts here.
So the Rangers in the all-white home uniforms take the field behind their starting pitcher, number 35, Cole Hamels. So we are set for baseball here in Arlington. Game time weather presented by the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. Get to the beach. The admission-free boardwalk is open this weekend. It's a nice warm night, pretty comfortable. It's 92 degrees. And as always, a little breezy here in the ballpark, but not bad at all tonight. So A's final time in Texas this year. They've been to Houston 3 times, and now their 3rd trip here into Arlington. Let's take a look at the lineup for the A's. It starts with Smolinski in right, Semien at short, Valencia at first. Chris Davis has 7 home runs against the Rangers this year in 12 games. Then it's Healy, Vogt, Eibner, Nunez, and Joey Wendell starts tonight against the lefty.
And Cole Hamels will be on the mound for the Rangers, and he'd like to pitch as well at home as he's been pitching on the road. But a good pitcher. He knows how to pitch, not overpowering with any of his pitches. But if you try to pull him, you'll pull right into a ground ball. Waiting on something. I think Ron Washington come out the third base coaching box.
Got to have a third base coach. So we're set for baseball as tall left-hander Cole Hamels kicks and fires, in the first pitch in for a strike. Smolinski, Semien, and Valencia, the first 3 hitters in the A's lineup.
Jake did not have a particularly good series against the Rangers. Of course, a former team of his, and probably trying a little bit too hard in the games that he's played against the Rangers, and hopefully that will change this weekend.
Your umpires, Jeff Kellogg is the crew chief, and he's calling balls and strikes. So he is the man in charge tonight. 1-2 to Smolinski. Good look at Cole Hamels, the 32-year-old left-hander. Having a very nice season, his first full year with the Rangers. Smolinski hits it high and foul down the right field line.
And 2 former National Leaguers. Of course, Lucroy, the catcher, acquired by the Rangers at the trading deadline this year, doing a great job for Texas. And of course, Cole Hamels, the trading deadline last year. And the type of pitcher or player you want to pick up that has more than just the end of the contract, the end of the season with the contract he had this year, and I'm sure the Rangers knew that in giving up what they did to get him, knowing they had him for last year as well as this year.
His contract runs through 2018 with a vesting option for 2019, so they have a chance to have him around for a while. On the ground to the shortstop Elvis Andrus, who flips it across, and that's out number 1. Rangers defense: Carlos Gomez, the former Astros, in left field. Ian Desmond in center. Nomar Mazar, the fine youngster, out in right field. Then it's Beltre, Andrus, Odor, and Moreland on the infield. And Jonathan Lucroy is your catcher. So with 1 out, here's Marcus Semien. So the A's winners of 4 in a row thanks to the sweep in Kansas City. They're 64-82 against the Rangers this year. The A's are 6-7, and that includes 2-4 right here in Arlington. And he's trying to carry over the success they had in Kansas City into this series. Maybe tough to duplicate, but doesn't mean they don't come in with some confidence. 43 runs, 52 hits, 7 home runs for the A's in that 4-game series. And 2 pitches a bit outside, 2-2 the count.
You come away from Kansas City, and your rookie third baseman hit one as far as anybody's ever hit there. That's all they've been talking about with Ryan Healy's shot in left center.
High fastball, swing and a miss, 94 miles an hour from Hamels.
Well, a high fastball, and Marcus Semien, knowing that Cole Hamels will use a lot of different pitches, but looks like he's trying to establish his fastball early in the game.
7th in the league in strikeouts, 8th in ERA. Good ground ball percentage. The only negative is the walks, and it has been an issue for Cole Hamels.
Well, he made the correct statement saying he cannot afford to do it in postseason. If he does, that's
true. Where
you're getting in trouble. You give gifts in the postseason, short series, that's where it can really hurt you.
72 walks. Sounded like it could be a little bit of a mechanical issue.
I think he's the type of pitcher, although his fastball is good velocity in the low 90s, tries to get you chase a lot of pitches. That last one thrown to Valencia, one that he did not swing at. Perhaps there are guys who will do it. That time he went after the changeup, and he has a good one, and that's why he is so effective, because the changeup comes out like his fastball. 2-0 is a perfect time to throw it. Valencia looking for something hard, got something soft. Lucroy's a good catcher. He handles him well, and that's got to be a plus for the Rangers.
Just looking at Hamels in his walk totals in years past, Ray, the most that he has ever walked before this year was 62, and that was last year. So pretty significant jump in that walk total. Swing and miss percentage.
He's thrown
that's very high.
Back-to-back changeups. Would he do it again? He had a swing and miss on the 2-0 changeup. Valencia out in front on the 2-1. And not many pitchers will do it. The way goes the changeup. Sinker in.
Valencia hits one to shallow center. Desmond hustling in, and he's going to get there. And Cole Hamels has a 3-up, 3-down inning. A ground out, a strikeout, and a fly out. So time to go to work for Kendall Graveman. The lineup for the first place Texas Rangers. It is Carlos Gomez, Ian Desmond, and then Beltran Beltre, Odor, Lucroy, Moreland, Mazzara, and Elvis Andrus.
Kendall Graveman first start this year against the Rangers, surprisingly, after 13 games, 4 different series. But Kendall Graveman looking for a rebound after his last start against a club, the Seattle Mariners. They gave up a lot of runs, just went 5+ innings, and nothing was working for him in that game, and hopes to have a good one tonight against a club he's facing for the first time this year.
First pitch to Carlos Gomez in for a strike. Gomez signed on the 20th of August after being let go by the Astros, getting a chance to play quite a bit. He's hitting .215 with the Rangers in 19 games. After playing 85 games with Houston, and he hit .210. One and two the count. Overall, .211, 9 homers, 41 RBIs, and he pops it up down the right field line. Joey Wendell is there, and he makes the catch. So one away here in the bottom of the first. Defensively for the A's tonight be Davis in left, Eibner in center, Smolinski in right, Healy, Simeon, Wendell, Valencia on the infield, and Stephen Vogt is your catcher.
Well, if there's ever a park that Bob Melvin knows to have a sinker ball pitcher, this is it. We'll talk about Coors Field in the National League, but here in Arlington, the ball does travel, carries well. Flags are kind of still tonight. And it is a little warm, which means ball will travel. And for this gentleman in Ian Desmond, right field is just as inviting for him as any park, especially here.
Swings over top of that one. 0-2 to Desmond. Desmond having a very nice season, his first year with the Texas Rangers. Could be his last, who knows? He's a free agent after this year, after signing just a one-year deal.
Well, he's doing what Adrian Beltre did when he went to Boston for 1 year after being in Seattle for 5, and take a one-year deal and get in the middle of a huge productive lineup. Okay, so the Rangers go to postseason and see what the winter offers in a free agent contract, and he probably will get a good one. Rangers might be at the top of the list to bring him back. They will have a huge TV contract.
Swing and a miss, and Desmond strikes out. So 2 outs here in the bottom of the first.
Time now for the Nissan keys to the game, and of course the biggest one, of course, would be continue what they did in Texas, and that would be to keep swinging A's. How about that? So swinging A's, and matchup on the mound. Graveman's first start against the Texas Rangers this season. Made his first start last year. A couple of starts against the Rangers, one at home and one here. But he's from the South, Alabama, sweet home Alabama, Mississippi State, familiar with the warm weather, especially at nighttime.
Facing Carlos Beltran, the designated hitter. Very fine season. 27 home runs, 88 RBIs, and the .296 average for Carlos Beltran, coming over in the trade from the Yankees near the trade deadline. He can still hit. .2-0 pitch is driven to center. Eibner back, turns around, makes the catch. Side retired. 3 up, 3 down inning for both starting pitchers in the first. Second inning coming up. By McDonald's. May 17th of this year, Chris Davis, a pair of home runs against Cole Hamels at the Coliseum. And that was the game that he would later end with a grand slam. A grand slam walk-off. So a huge night for Chris Davis, and he has continued to beat up on the Texas Rangers. Davis has 7 home runs against the Rangers this year.
3 in the one game that you mentioned, but you can see in those starts or the home runs he did against Hamels, there were different pitches, and first pitch tonight was a fastball, so he remembers it. Hamels, of course, will always remember, as good pitchers do, how hitters face them and hit against them.
2-0 to Davis. 37 homers, 94 RBIs. Tied for 4th in the league in the home runs. Missed away, 3-0.
Well, 3 games here. He's got 6 at the Coliseum. And then 3 in Anaheim, 4 in Seattle. Let's try to get 3 and 6. 40 and 100 sounds pretty good.
He may do it this weekend. Last A's player to hit 40 home runs in a season was Jason Giambi in 2000. He hit 43. Sounds like an MVP year to me. Davis had a good rip there. Most home runs in a season versus the Rangers by an Oakland A. Giambi hit 8 in 2001. Reggie Jackson hit 9 in 1974.
74 was the year they come into Arlington, Texas, the old park, and all those Ranger fans would say, "Gonna beat you, gonna beat you," and they get swept. It's amazing. It was similar to this, where the fans were close by the dugout, and just like this one with low railing, getting the on-deck circle, they'd be screaming at you.
I'm not sure the Rangers were good enough back then.
They were not. No, that was the old park, and it's a little bit different now.
There's a walk. Davis takes the pitch inside, so the A's have their leadoff man aboard here in the 2nd inning.
Well, there's the patience of Chris Davis, a big home run hitter, but Cole Hamels was trying to go inside off the plate. LaCroix holding it, but not enough for Jeff Kellogg. Remember, people talk about framing a ball for catcher. Umpires do not like to hear that, because that means that they're watching the catcher catch the ball versus watching the ball cross the plate. And you know, you should catch the ball properly more than anything to keep the ball from getting past you, but you try to frame it to keep it in a strike zone or bring it back in a strike zone. Umpires do not take kindly to it.
Healy's average at .309, as he has been a very hot hitter. 13 hits in his last 25 at-bats. And of course, the big series in Kansas City, where he hit a couple of home runs and knocked in 7 runs. Everybody knocked in runs in Kansas City.
The dugout was just screaming about this shot off Edison Volquez, and this is a 2-strike that he just crushed. Started to run hard. He said, "I think I'll take a look at it." That was way above the fountain. What, 480? They said. Statcast had it leaving. I mean, all these numbers that they're putting out, but all I know is a long home run, and it left in a heartbeat quickly.
Talking to our good friend Ken Korak, A's radio announcer, today about Healy. He made an interesting comparison, and I hadn't thought of it, but Troy Glaus.
That's right.
What do you think? That's not bad, huh?
Well, just lay the bat on the shoulder, and then as it starts, he gets ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Glaus was big, tall, right, much like, and the swing is similar to Troy Glaus.
Well, Mark Trumbull too.
Yeah,
the home runs he's hitting for Baltimore, and his pitch off speed, and if you're upright as he is with the bat on the shoulder, and last night there's a knuckle curve grip by Hamels, but last night that pitch was low from Volquez, and he handled it.
And that one is belted to left field, and it is off the wall. Chris Davis digging for third. He'll get there and stop, and Ryan Healy stays hot as he rips a double off the left center field wall.
Well, that's a great 2-strike approach, and it's amazing the way the ball jumps off his bat. Fastball, middle of the plate. He missed one previously, but not this one, and had too much topspin. Chris Davis to third. Nobody was covering second. Moreland, the first baseman, was late getting to second base, so really Ryan Healy, as the throw came back in towards second, there was nobody there, so he could just coast in. Moreland just a little bit late getting to the bag.
So second and third, nobody out. Here's Stephen Vogt. Vogt rolls one foul. And I guess normally you'd say, well, why wouldn't the middle infielder, the second baseman, there? But they usually have the double cutoff, right? With the two middle infielders in case the ball being thrown in from left field overthrows the first cutoff guy.
And actually, I think that's what happened, because Andrus was the first cutoff man. The shortstop, Odor, was backing him up. But as he went in the outfield, there was nobody at second, which, you know, if you go to throw the ball, you throw it in the second, try to keep the double play in order. And I'm sure somebody's going to remind Moreland that that is his responsibility after the runner passes first.
212 is what the league is hitting off Hamels with runners in scoring position, so he tightens it up when he has to. And here Vogt just needs to put in play. All the infielders are playing back. And that's a close pitch. 1-2. Hamels is checking to see where it was.
And Lucroy saying the same thing, but outside target. And
don't take it again, Stephen Vogt.
Lucroy was in the right-handed batter's box, had to reach back, and just Kellogg saying the pitch is outside.
Foul back left side.
I think of Cole Hamels pitching in Philadelphia and a lot of success, signed a big contract with them, and coming to Texas. Humidity probably the same. It's very hot and humid in Philadelphia, and you can see on his face just what he's experiencing here. Maybe that's why he has better success on the road.
Hamels from San Diego. And another grounder foul past Mike Aldretti, so Vogt hanging in there. Greater coverage of baseball brought to you by T-Mobile. Longest home runs this season in all of Major League Baseball. Ryan Healy, the one in Kansas City last night, the 5th longest of the year. No surprise who's on top, Stanton. So 480 feet.
I take the Giancarlo in Miami, not in Colorado. Because in Colorado, you could probably get jammed and hit one out. But Healy is strong, and especially to stand upright and drop the head of the bat on a low fastball is pretty impressive.
And Stephen Vogt swings and misses. So Hamels gets a big strikeout for out number 1.
Well, there is a pitcher by the name Jamie Moyer would do this. Change ups to left-handers. That pitch inside at 85. Stephen Vogt out in front. Pitch in the dirt, but when Jamie Moyer, they started to have more lefties facing him, he'd say, okay, because they tried to get him to take away the changeup, but he started to throw it the outside part of the plate. That one was inside, but it's almost like it was a waste pitch down in the dirt.
So here's Brett Eibner. Davis at third, Healy at second. To Beltre, who handles a tough hop, looks Davis back, 2 outs. Well, in between hop, and Beltre just stayed with it.
Well, the infield back, and the only place to hit the ball and not have a run score was where he did. Third base and pitcher. Everybody else, maybe even first base, but there's nothing that Chris Davis could do except go back to the bag. And he got a Gold Glove third baseman. Got the short hop, brought the glove up, looked the runner back, second out. And that's why the numbers for Cole Hamels, 212 batting average runners in scoring position. And the A's have left runners at second and third. Now need a 2-out hit.
There's Renato Nunez. So this would be a good time for his first big league hit. And the first pitch is called a strike. Nunez 0 for 5 so far. Started one of the games in Kansas City. Also had a pinch hit appearance. One tapped foul, and now he's behind in the count 0-2 to Cole Hamels. So the A's had second and third and nobody out. Now 2nd and 3rd and 2 outs.
And that's something they did not do in Kansas City. That's leave them there, not score.
Up the middle, Andrus fires to first, and they got him. So Elvis Andrus ranging far to his left, and a close play at first, but Nunez is out, and the A's strand a pair. Baseball on CSN California is brought to you by AAA. Get a free A's Stadium blanket with any new AAA membership. Visit a participating AAA branch today. Restrictions apply. No score, bottom of the 2nd. A's let a good opportunity slip away in the top of the 2nd. It will be Beltre, Odor, and Lucroy. There's the Rangers, sporting the best record in the American League, and they're 87 and 60. 3rd best in the major leagues, and they have a magic number of 8 to clinch the AL West. Joey Wendell backs up. Looks like Valencia didn't see it. Wendell does, and he has it. So they are battling the Indians for the best record and the Red Sox. So they have a 2.5 game lead over the Indians for home field advantage throughout the postseason if they do get the best record. And it's possible that they'll be able to pull that off, certainly.
Well, it's big, especially for the Rangers. They know what has happened in St. Louis. They know what happened last year in Toronto. You have a crowd, especially a place like this, can be packed, and it's football weekend. It may change now. They get to postseason. That's totally different for them.
Well, everything is in the Rangers' favor. They have the best home record in the American League at 47 and 22. And they have 15 games left, including tonight, and 12 of them are at home. The only 3 road games that they will play the rest of the year are in Oakland next weekend. So 12 of 15 at home, great home record. So would not surprise anybody if the Rangers do indeed finish with the best record.
One of the best things for, I mentioned the Cubs, who clinched today, clinched the tie last night, clinched today with a dramatic win in Chicago.
Odor bounces one to Joey Wendell. Nice big hop.
But it's nice to have meaningful games to play for home field advantage.
No question.
And that's probably now the biggest thing, that you know, you can win the division and say, well, there's no meaningful games, but home field advantage is huge.
Against the West, 12 and 7 against the Mariners. Of course, they dominated the Astros again this year, 15 and 4. 7 and 6 against the A's, and 8 and 8 against the Angels. So the Astros had trouble again last year. The Rangers went 13-6 against Houston. This year, 15-4. So it is a very good team. They won the division last year, going 88-74. They won it by 2 games over Houston. But then, of course, they went into that crazy division series against the Blue Jays and lost 3-2. Very entertaining series, but they did not have home field advantage in that series, and they probably wish they would have. Lucroy takes outside.
Well, at one time, the Rangers had a farm system that some said was as good as some major league teams. They've got some of those homegrown products here now, but they also have the finances to be able to go out and trade for and to sign players. It's just a question, if you're a free agent, do you want to come and pitch or play in this heat and humidity? For the right price, you would.
Outside corner, strike 3 called. So Jeff Kellogg waited a couple seconds and then said, he gone. So LaCroix strikes out.
Portuguese Heritage Night is on Tuesday, September the 20th. Everyone that purchases a special ticket for this event will receive an exclusive A's Portuguese Heritage scarf, as well as entry into the pregame party in the Eastside Club. As an added bonus, it's also Chevy free parking Tuesday. Purchase tickets, or for more information, visit athletics.com/Portuguese today.
All right, so that's coming up. Top of the 3rd, no score between the A's and the Rangers. Joey Wendell leading things off, followed by Smolinski and Simeon. Big night last night. Joey Wendell had 4 hits. This is his 11th start in the big leagues. So Bob Melvin probably figured, come on, 4 hits. I got to play him the next night.
I think it's great because he's had some success against left-handed pitchers, and give him a chance to stay in the lineup. Guys were on him in the clubhouse last night about should have gotten the baseball for your first 4-hit game. He said, he's too nice of a guy to ask for anything.
And strikes out against Cole Hamels on 3 pitches.
Cole Hamels has been around so long. For Joey Wendell, he said, I collect your baseball card. That's not good, but Hamels is that good, especially against lefties.
So 3 strikeouts for Cole Hamels, 1 in each inning, and now back to the top of the order in Smolinski. Smolinski grounded out to the shortstop, leading off the ball game. Smolinski has handled left-handed pitching well the whole year. He's hitting .302 against lefties. And he has been struggling for a while now. His average again down to 253. 1-1 the count.
I still say when you're facing a team that pretty much said we don't want you, you want to try to do a little bit extra, and sometimes that's a negative, and just try to play your normal game, and eventually he'll get to where he's playing his normal game.
Now Sanders backs up in front of Gomez. He's got it. So 2 away here in the top of the third, and that'll bring up Marcus Semien.
Shortstop Marcus Semien.
Cole Hamels, since that Healy double, has retired 5 in a row. He did a nice job of pitching to keep the A's off the board in the second inning. And Marcus went around.
Hamel mixing up, breaking ball, check swing, strike. Goes back to the same spot.
Hamels at, let's see, with his 2 innings, 2 2/3, he's at 183 innings now for the year. And I bring that up because he has gone 6 straight years throwing 200 innings or more, and he's more than likely going to do that again. That's quite an accomplishment. And a high fastball, and Semien swings and misses. So off-speed pitches down, fastball's up. It's been a good start so far for Hamels. Baseball on CSN California is brought to you by PG&E, together building a better California. Nice look outside Globe Life Park. I don't think the Rangers need a new ballpark. This one's pretty nice.
Put a roof on it, they'd keep it, but I guess the owner does not like to sit in the heat.
23 years old, though. This place is ancient. It is a beautiful place.
Yes, it is.
Good look at it.
To commend the city of Arlington for getting not only the Rangers but the Cowboys as well. Big stadium behind this one, and they put a lot of people next door.
Yes, they do. This ballpark opened in 1994. So Moreland leading it off, followed by Mazzara and Andrews. Bottom 3. Graveman has retired the first 6 with a couple of strikeouts. And he drives one towards center. Eibner will get over there and he'll play it on a hop. First hit of the game for Texas.
Well, for some reason, he loves hitting against the A's. He could struggle, as he has been recently, but high fastball. Can't get a sinker on the ground ball with an elevated fastball. Kendall Graveman knows that. And trying to get it inside, trying to get it down. Well, checked up. Nice play by Eibner to keep it from going past him. The nice thing about Kendall Graveman, this first time out of the stretch, but being a ground ball pitcher, likes the fact that he can get a ground ball to get two.
Mazara hits one hard but foul down the first base line. A good time for one of those Graveman sinkers. Try to get a double play. He's done it 19 times this year, 11th best in the American League.
In the last 16 starts for Kendall Graveman, 12 times he's been in double figures with ground ball outs.
And that one is bounced into right field, a base hit. So he got the ground ball, but it just bounced through that right side. So that's always a little bit frustrating for a pitcher, because it really was not a very hard hit ball, but it was hit in the right spot.
Now, we always talk about ground ball pitchers. You hope the ground balls are near the infielders. This was not. But runner being held at first, I don't know that even a normal position if Wendell could get to it, but he was playing close to second for a double play.
So now Elvis Andrus steps up, hitting .295.
Good bat control, also sacrifices very well.
Yeah, he's been tough in these spots this year, because like you said, he'll as a good bunter, he could do that, but with runners in scoring position this year, he is hitting .379.
Well, he's one of the best, and especially the situation where there's a gap on the right side, and he's just looked in his swing. He wanted to stay inside the ball. He tried to pull the pitch that was inside instead of staying inside and shooting to right field.
And he does not strike out a lot. There's that number, third best in the American League. Thus the 62 RBIs out of your 9th place hitter. And this is a very deep lineup, so he is going to get some opportunities down there. Bunts it. Picked up by Valencia. He'll throw to first in time. So a early sacrifice by the Rangers to put runners at second and third with one out.
Well, we always talked about when Ron Washington was the manager of the Rangers, he led the league in sacrifice hits. Elvis Andrus got one chance to swing the bat, fouled it off. Washington play back, and that's something that really Wash taught a lot of the Ranger hitters how to do this, especially Elvis Andrus, who he had from the beginning of his career.
Well, here's Carlos Gomez.
And he's a strikeout victim.
Yeah,
He's so
I was
aggressive.
just thinking that. Yeah.
He's aggressive and just makes some quality pitches. Maybe if we get him out.
And that hit him. So the ball ran in and it hit Gomez, and now the bases are loaded and things get tough.
Well, really, he did not move and took it on the thigh, the right thigh. Big leg kick. He didn't feel it. He's a happy camper. Houston did not play that much. He came over here and it's fit in perfectly. He's played some good games for the Rangers.
Here's Desmond. Bounce towards Simeon. Out at second, and that's all the A's will get. And Moreland comes in to score. And they did. They called a double play at second base. How about that? That's Alan Porter, the second base umpire. And the sliding runner was Gomez. He ended up about 5 feet past second base. So Bannister's going to want an explanation. That's a huge call. It takes the run off the board.
You've got to be able to reach back and touch the bag with your hand. He went at, not only that, he hit his leg. Mr. Bannister, you better go back to the clubhouse.
Yeah, that's a good call. So the Rangers do not score. But you know what? I think Jeff Bannister's wrong here. This is just not a smart play by Gomez.
He better get caught at his, goes right there. Now watch him grab his leg on top of it. You can't do any of those. You can't slide past the bag, and definitely don't want to grab the leg. Look at Wendell looking back. I mean, he didn't have to. Wendell was going to come across the bag. Ball was hit too slowly, turn a double play, catch the ball and throw. There goes Gomez all the way through it. And oh, by the way, let me grab his leg just as a passing by. It happened to Jose Bautista in Tampa Bay. Cost him a game as the final play of the game. First and third, he did the same thing, double play, into the game. Unnecessary.
All right, here's the rule. Runner may contact fielder in the course of a legal slide. A legal slide requires runner to slide before the base and make an attempt to remain on the base. Runner may not deviate from their pathway to the base in order to initiate contact with the fielder. Penalty for violation is that both the runner and the batter are out, and any remaining runners return to the last legally touched base. So the point is Gomez has to know it's not a real hard hit ball, and the runner Desmond runs pretty well. So all that, he really made a couple mistakes, and he didn't have to do either of them. And I have no idea why Jeff Bannister was hot. I mean, he was really upset.
The only thing I could think, and you know, the play in Tampa Bay, the second baseman, I'm trying to think of his name, came across and threw to first. This time Wendell did not. That's the only thing I could think that Bannister might be complaining about, that he took the throw, did not throw to first base. But it doesn't matter. I mean, the rules are rule.
Exactly.
The rules are rule. You cannot slide past the bag, and then he grabbed his leg on top of it. So all of it unnecessary. And I'm sure when Jeff Bannister looks at a video, then he'll see the same thing that we just talked about, and really should be angry with his left fielder instead of Alan Porter at second.
So the run comes off the board, and it would have been first and third with Carlos Beltran coming up.
And watch him grab Wendell. He didn't have to. He slid too late, and then he reaches up and grabs, and look how far he ends up.
So he's past the bag way too far, and he tried to grab him with both hands. So I just don't know what the argument was.
Well, there was one rule at one time at the beginning, and they changed it, that you had to stay on the bag. But now you can slide back, but you have to reach back.
Yeah, you could go past it. That's not what we're saying.
Reach back and touch the bag with your extended arm.
That's right. That's a good call by you. You could go past it, but you can't go past it. He was 6 feet past it.
And then on top of it, you just cannot make contact, especially grabbing the second baseman with your hands. I mean, he's going after him, and pushing. That's what Alan Porter, I mean, he saw a number of things that violated that.
And it's a leadoff walk for Danny Valencia. So second walk for Cole Hamels. So here's Chris Davis.
Now there's your walks again. That's the second time 3-2 walk. You had Davis second inning. And I think sometimes a pitcher just tries to be too fine, and he's got a good fastball and a good changeup. He could throw either one of them 3-2 and maybe not nibble as much in getting the walks.
Good swing by Chris Davis. Davis walked in the second inning. Davis had 5 hits in that series against the Royals, 2 homers and 8 RBIs. It's kind of fun to read those numbers from that Royals series because everybody had a good offensive series. Royals 6 games out of that wild card, so really the A's pretty much ended any chance for the Royals. Good pitch there right at the knees, and it's 1-2.
Well, he's going to stay inside of the right-handers, and Jonathan Lucroy's catcher is going to move off the plate. See that's a knuckle curve when he takes the finger. I mean, he sets up with a knuckle curve grip.
Close pitch, 2-2.
San Diego weather, Arlington, Texas weather, probably not the same.
Runner goes, and the ball is hit deep to right center field. And that baby's gone. 2-0 A's.
Wow. Well, just unbelievable power. Valencia got the read, and Hamels, all he had to do was throw to first, and he's got him picked off. Instead, he throws the plate and maybe distracted him just enough. And an off-speed pitch, and it was gone way over the bullpen. And I don't know if you get a shot of Mazara. Right fielder started after it and just stopped in his tracks. As he started, watch the right fielder. Mazara takes off. Watch this. He just said, forget it. Let's see how far it goes. Way above the bullpen, and that is a long shot for a left-handed hitter, much less a right-hander.
Here's Healy.
So there's 38 and 96.
Getting there.
Yep.
8th home run this year against the Texas Rangers. 3rd time he has got Cole Hamels. So the Rangers have seen enough of Chris Davis.
Well, an unbelievable turnaround. 1st and 3rd, 2 outs for the Rangers with a run in. Instead, ill-advised slide turns into a double play. Next inning, walk, 2-run home run. Rangers trailing.
Healy fouls it straight back. Healy had a double to left in the 2nd inning. So after 43 runs in that series in Kansas City, the A's grab a 2-0 lead here in the 4th. And that one almost hit Healy. Healy now with a 7-game hitting streak thanks to that double in the 6th. He's got 14 hits during that 7-game hit streak. Just a little bit inside.
Another 3-2 count.
Oh. And that one's hit toward right center, and it's hit a ton. And it's off the top of the wall. Healy hustling for second, and he'll make it with his second double.
Unbelievable.
Well, that's a hot hitter, folks. Sit next to him in the dugout.
Oof. Well, and not only this ball is driven, but you've got a couple of players, really power hitters, back to back. And Chris Davis and Ryan Healy going opposite field with that kind of power. And Cole Hamels, he thought is gone, and probably other times might be. And remember, as we've talked, there's no jet stream to right center anymore. Plus the flag's really still. About a 3-2 count. And just the fact that Ryan Healy is willing to take hits to the opposite field instead of trying to pull everything.
That one's hit to right. Mazzaro back. Mazzaro near the wall, and he's got just enough room to make the catch. It will be a productive out as Healy tags up and goes to third. So Stephen Vogt just missed it.
And, you know, you look at Hamels and his face, and then the perspiration. I mean, it's for what, first pitch 91, 92. Stephen Vogt, this pitch right in the middle. Lucroy wanted it outside. Stephen thought maybe he had gotten enough of it at the warning track of the wall, but now the A's have to score this run. I mean, this has been, it's a productive out, and Eibner needs to find a way to get through a drawn-in infield, somehow to get it into the outfield.
Swings and misses. Don't try to do too much.
Especially with the infield and the outfield playing at least not as deep as you would expect, as Eibner has some power, but there's still a lot of gaps between the infield and the outfield. A lot of room.
Well, we said this a ton of times this year. I'm a firm believer. You just have to take a little bit off your swing.
Yeah. Well, in a park like this, any park, but especially here, you have to score these runs.
Yep.
And really what the A's did not do when they had the opportunity in the second inning, second and third, nobody out. I mean, you just have to keep adding on. It's not piling on, it's adding on, and you have to do it in this park.
Just inside, 2-1.
I mean, what the A's did in Kansas City, they kept adding on, but they didn't embarrass anybody. They just kept getting big hits, driving in runs.
Yeah, what are you supposed to do? Stop
Yeah,
trying to score?
you're never going to stop hitting, but you just don't take extra bases or try to score steal bases, things like that. But
line drive and a base hit to left field. So Healy will trot home, and it's 3-0. The A's lead. A hard hit ball by Brett Eibner.
But an easy swing, just like you said. Go easy and generate the bat speed, but don't try to swing so hard that you miss pitches. Infield drawn in. Perfectly executed by Eibner with the pitch inside just to pull it into the gap between third and short. See the slumping shoulders of the future Hall of Famer Adrian Beltre after that ball went past him.
We showed you that note on Hamels where he has been struggling as of late. His last outing, actually, he was decent. He was at the Angels. He got a no decision, 2 runs in 6 innings, but the start before that, 7 runs in an inning and 2/3. The start before that, 6 runs in 4 1/3 innings. And right now, Ray, the A's are getting some pretty good hacks off Hamels.
Well, and you can't tell me that just looking at Hamels, if you pitch in this environment, it's got to take its toll. And he's making his 30th start. And you pitch at home, you got 81 home games. He's going to start a lot here. And just look at the face. I mean, red face, perspiration, and every pitch really maxed out because you're trailing. I think that's why the Rangers have to make trades, because a lot of times players don't want to come here just because of the heat. They traded for Hamels, they traded for Lucroy. Beltre did sign as a free agent, as a position player. They've got a lot of young kids in the organization that have come up.
Nunez down the left field line, but it's going to be well fouled. So 25 pitches this inning for Cole Hamels. So 0-2 to Ronaldo Nunez. 1 out here in the 4th inning.
Young man getting some opportunities, and with Billy Butler being let go, some at bats as a designated hitter, especially Chris Davis playing left field.
And that's a swing and a miss on a pitch in the dirt. Now the runner goes, takes off. That's Eibner. He's going to be caught in a rundown. Eibner staying in it as long as he can, and now he's tagged out. So when it's all said and done, it'll be strike him out, throw him out, double play. But the A's score 3 runs. First 2 coming on home run number 38 for Chris Davis. 3-0 A's lead. In the top of the 4th, Chris Davis with another home run, closing in on 40. So 3-0 Athletics as Carlos Beltran leads it off. He'll be followed by Adrian Beltre and then Rognet Odor. So it's the heart of the order. Hey, some runs for Kendall Graveman. Now the lack of run support hurt Graveman 2 starts ago. His last start really didn't matter. He gave up 8 runs in 5 innings.
In the game against the Red Sox, though, as we talked about, he wanted to pitch against them and pitched well, 6 1/3 shutout innings.
So Chris Davis handles that fly ball. 1 out here in the bottom of the 4th inning. So here's Beltre. Beltre popped out to the second baseman in the 2nd inning. As always, we're keeping a close eye on the scoreboard. The Red Sox leading the Yankees 3-2 in the bottom of the 6th inning. Game at Fenway Park. Simeon, low backhand, throws across 2 outs. Some losses hurt more than others, and I think the Yankees loss last night hurt about 5 times more than a normal one. They had a 4-2 lead, and then it got to 4-3, and then when it was all said and done, they had a lead late. And Hanley Ramirez hit a 3-run homer, a walk-off home run.
On a 3-1 fastball. I was watching that game, and it looked like Sanchez was crossed up. The way he reacted, he almost wanted to try to get out of the way, and I don't know, maybe he called a slider and never did read anything about it, but the catcher is a 3-1 fastball, and first base is open. Why would you even pitch to him anyway? Because he got a 3-1 fastball, he's looking for it. Big slider by Betances, and Betances, as we have seen, he very rarely throws fastballs. It's more of the hard breaking pitches. But big walk off, and it said it was the first time since something like early 1900s that the Yankees had scored 5 runs with 2 outs, or won a game being down with 2 outs in the 9th inning.
Huh. So quite a night at Fenway. Ramirez has hit another home run tonight, so he is really having a good year.
The backdoor breaking ball, the cutter that Kendall Graveman likes to throw. He'll go back foot to the left-handers, back door to them. He's got the 2-seamer away, sinker, and so he's got an assortment of pitches he can use.
1-2. Odor grounded out to second. His first at bat. Hits this one off the end of the bat. Wendell charges, throws on the run, side retired. So Kendall Graveman, a 3-up, 3-down inning, and the shutdown inning. 3-0 A's after 4.
Live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet.
A's leading 3-0, top of the 5th inning. Joey Wendell, Jake Smolinski, and Marcus Semien. Joey Wendell has not figured out Cole Hamels just yet.
It's not me picking up the ball well enough.
Struck out swinging in the 3rd on 3 pitches.
Probably swung at pitches that aren't even strikes. Yet he is struck out once, and there you go.
Soft line drive into the glove of Odor, 1 out. And that'll bring up Smolinski, who's 0 for 2. 76 pitches for Cole Hamels. Smolinski hitting in the leadoff spot tonight. First pitch bounces it toward Beltre. And Beltre takes care of Smolinski, 2 outs.
We talk about infielders and how they let the ball play them sometimes, or charge or not charge. Beltre actually backed up on the ball. He has such a strong, accurate arm that allows him really to get the hop that he wants. If he charged the ball, maybe would not have gotten it, but backed up a couple of steps, caught it, quick release, strong throw. Exactly what Hamels is wanting, 3 pitches, 2 outs.
And here's Marcus Semien, who has struck out swinging twice, both times on high fastballs. And that one is lined to left field. Hustling back is Gomez, and he's going to get there, and he makes the catch. So that's a quick inning for Cole Hamels as he throws just 4 pitches. 3-0 A's. California is brought to you by Roaring Camp Railroads. It's roundup time. Take the beach train to Santa Cruz or the Redwood Forest train to Bear Mountain. 3-0 A's, bottom of the 5th inning. Kendall Graveman will face Lucroy, Moreland, and Mazzara. Graveman has been very sharp through the first 4 innings. Working quickly, throwing strikes. Lucroy, good numbers with both teams as he came over with Jeremy Jeffress from the Brewers at the trade deadline. Jeffress got himself in a little bit of trouble, and I think he's still away from the team. Is that correct? And Lucroy doing a terrific job. He struck out looking in the 2nd inning. The Rays are making it tough on the Orioles again tonight. Rays leading Baltimore 4-3 in the bottom of the 8th inning in Baltimore. Rays won last night 7-6 in game 1 of that 4-game series. Scary team to play, the Tampa Bay Rays.
Well, the Rays probably thinking it the same way about the Athletics. They finished strongly in the month of September. It bodes well in the offseason. A lot of confidence going in to the new year. And the Rays seem to be competitive almost every year. They have outstanding pitching, and of course they have Evan Longoria bolstering their offense, and they find a way to win games. He's trying to do the same thing this month.
And a leadoff walk to Lucroy. So that's the first walk issued by Graveman. Check this out. We've talked a lot about Kendall Graveman at some point this year. Just said, you know what, I need to use my fastball more, and he has. And that's when the success has come. Getting ahead in the count, and then with 2 strikes. Which one stands out more to you, Ray? The using the fastball to get ahead in the count, or using the fastball with 2 strikes? Or where do you think he was getting in trouble before doing that?
Falling behind.
Falling behind.
Yeah, and then the ball straightens out. And bottom line, whenever he gets the ground balls, it's when the ball is sinking and he gets ahead. Like, there's your first pitch fastball, and it's a strike. And can control a lot when that happens if you're able to get ahead with the first pitch strike. You just think, as well as he is pitching now, you get Sonny Gray back pitching well. And that's makes for a great lineup, or a great starting staff.
1-1 to Moreland, who had a base hit in the 3rd. Sonny Gray still hoping to maybe pitch a little bit this year anyways. He would like to get back out on the mound. We'll see if that happens.
You talk about a pitcher dominating a team in their home park, and Sonny has done that here.
Moreland, soft line drive, and Simeon grabs it. Simeon playing right over top of second base, so that's out number 1.
Another shift. As Mitch Moreland, great power. Could see the shift to the right side and up the middle. Normally it's a base hit, but now with the shifts. Watching the Cubs game today, I could not believe that they were talking about. I've never heard of the alignment where Marcus Simeon, for some reason, maybe getting the signs. But they said on a bunt situation, they would have Zobrist, the second baseman, cover first, or be at first base, holding the runner. The first baseman coming in from way in front.
Sure.
So you have a third baseman, first baseman. And so vacating the right side, and in a bunt situation, actually took it away from the Milwaukee pitcher today.
So first base, or second baseman Zobrist is holding the runner at first, and the first baseman starts with the pitch coming. He's already in.
He's already in. So you have essentially pitcher, first baseman, third baseman covering up the area in front of home plate.
Was a pitcher batting?
Pitcher was hitting. Yeah, it was a pitcher. Yeah,
no, it really has to be almost a guaranteed bunt situation.
And he ended up swinging away and threw out to right field. It basically took the bunt away.
Gotcha.
And
so maybe that's what they're trying to do.
Probably do. Yeah, but I'd never seen that alignment. You'd always see second baseman cover
Interesting.
First base, but he's already there. But
not a bad idea.
No, if you know, and of course the National League with a pitcher hitting, and figure he's up there to bunt regardless, 1 out, 2 out, well, 1 out or nobody out of 1 out, but basically took the bunt away and ended up flying out to right field. And congratulations to the Cubs, they clinched today. Yeah. They can celebrate in Chicago.
Yeah, so you could say, well, yeah, but if he's covering first, the right side is open. Well, it's going to be open anyways, because he's going to be, instead of being there already, he's going to be crashing over there.
Right, and
so why not just start
if the first baseman is, say, coming in between first and the pitcher's mound, third baseman's there, pitcher, you really have everything covered for a bunt.
Yeah, interesting.
And if he swings away, then
more power to him if he were to get a hit.
Exactly,
right?
And he did not. It's an easy fly ball to right field.
2-2 to Nomar Mazara, who singled in the third inning. Bounced one into right field.
But that's one of the differences. Of course, Joe Madden managed many years with the Tampa Bay Rays, goes to the National League, and it's a different league because the pitcher hits it. It's hitting. Could not do that in the American League because of the 9 hitters.
Under the glove of Valencia, and it's into right field for a hit. And Lucroy will hustle to third, and he will make it with a slide. Just under the glove of Valencia. Valencia probably is going to feel like he should have had it.
Well, he may have been thinking about throwing to second before he caught the ball. But a ground ball, and Cap, you've said it many times, this is perfect for Alonso. I mean, that's a ball that probably catches, throws to second, gets back to first. Under the glove, and he came up, the ball stayed down, and he knew it. Worst case, you get 1 out. Best case, 2. But this is real bad when it's first and third, 1 out.
And here's Elvis Andrus. He had a sacrifice bunt in the third.
I think their pitchers, and a lot of us get spoiled with Yonder Alonso at first. He does it so well. So many different plays.
So again, Graveman needs a ground ball. He got that double play in the third, the controversial one, where Gomez was called out.
If you can get a ground ball with Andrus, he can turn a double play. It's just a matter of the right side of the infield where Joey Wendell is really shading him towards second base. You can see the gap on the right side.
A little bit low, 2-0. Outfield pulled over slightly toward right. A lot of room down the left field lines. Chris Davis pulled over toward left center. So Andrus ahead in the count, 2-0. Hit hard, fair, down the third base line. 1 run scores. Here comes Mazara, and they're going to hold him up. The ball took a crazy bounce, and it hit something down there. And Chris Davis was going over toward the sidewall, and then he had to hustle in to get it. So there's a
fastball. They turned on it, gave him the opportunity to turn on it because of the 2-0 count. And the ball boy trying to get out of the way. And
right there.
Yeah, right there. And actually, Chris actually went to the ball and over the bag, fair, and caromed off the wall. Hit him in the right foot as he tried to jump over it. You know, when in doubt, stay still. Don't run away from something when the ball's moving.
And that was a great shot, great camera angle, and I think that was a good call. I think it was a fair ball.
Yeah, it was over the bag. Yeah.
So a run in, second and third, 1 out, and here's Gomez. So Andrus with the RBI double.
Like Elvis Andrus was yelling at Mazara about why didn't you score? And really, if he had been running hard at third, he might have scored.
First pitch, bounce to Semien. Semien will let the run come in to score, get the out. So now it's 3-2.
It was a great shot. Any part of the ball going over the bag, any part of the bag, and right there, Adam Hamari looking right at it, and right over the edge, right at the foul line. And it's back on third base coach calling it a fair ball, which it was. But it's rare that a ball will hit one of the girls' attendants down the lines. That one did.
So now you have to get Desmond. 2 runs in for the Rangers. It all started with the walk.
He's the security guard. I don't think he's even the ball boy, is he? Because the young
So
lady's
they're
down
both down there. And that's a close pitch. And the count 1-1.
Vogt and Kendall Graveman wanted it and just sinking maybe out of the strike zone.
That's a good pitch there. 94 miles an hour. Good sink. 1-2.
Same pitch that he took. That's the sink down, going straight down. And against Seattle, the ball was kind of running side to side, not down.
Strike 3 called right on the outside corner. So that's a good pitch by Kendall Graveman. He gets his 3rd strikeout. 2 runs for the Rangers. 3-2 A's after 5. Home of the official post-game show of the team Sunday to Sunday. The home of the authentic Raiders fan is CSN. Top of the 6th inning. It'll be Valencia, Davis, and Healy. So now a 3-2 game. This one is going to drop into right center field for a base hit. So right back into the stretch for Cole Hamels.
He hit the ball hard, hit one softly, and the ball lands. And inside looked like Valencia might have been looking for it, but got him on the handle, got the hit anyway. Kendall Graveman, big strike out of Desmond, freezing him outside corner.
69% for Cole Hamels on shutdown innings. Here's Chris Davis. Walk and a 2-run homer. Davis now 38 homers, 96 RBIs. And he hits one in the air to right field. That one's hit pretty well, but it's going to stay in the ballpark as Mazar gets back. So Davis, that was a good swing. He just got underneath that one. That swing not a whole lot different than the home run swing.
No. A's are very aggressive, though, since last inning when Hamels had a 4-pitch inning. Now, all of a sudden, 2 batters, 2 pitches this inning, and had him on the ropes throwing 74 in the first 4. And I'm sure Jeff Bannister thinking about his bullpen sooner than later, especially the pitch count gets close to 100.
So here's Ryan Healy, a red-hot hitter. He's got 2 doubles tonight. In the month of September, a .415 average. Only Daniel Murphy has more. September Morn. A little Neil Diamond reference for you, right? It's one of your guys, Neil Diamond.
Look at Joey Votto's hitting over 400 the second half of the season.
Yeah, he gets a hit every time up.
Yeah. Walks a lot, hits a lot.
So 1-1 the count to Healy, who has a 7-game hitting streak, 15 for 27.
Still like the comment that Ryan Healy made to us. I'm a no-name playing amongst a bunch of superstars. Well, still say that no-name part is going to go away because he's quickly making himself well known around the league. And Jerry Fraley, one of the local writers, talking to Ron Wash, and Wash was raving about him, talking about his attitude. And of course, a great player, but to have a young player come up and have a great attitude, that really makes him special. Wash would know. He's seen enough of them, managed the Rangers for a lot of years with a lot of young players.
And Healy swings and misses that time. Checks to see if it was a strike. So Healy is retired for the first time tonight. 2 outs here in the top of the 6th.
Well, you could book it that this is what this lefty's trying to do. Inside to righties all night long. And not only pitching inside, but his catcher is moving off the plate. And that is probably the best thing that a lefty could have, is a catcher that's not on the corner, but off the plate inside and nailing the inside part of the plate.
Well, that's what Hamels has done since he got to the big leagues.
Yeah.
That pitch inside and then the changeup away.
Yeah. That's the old Tom Glavine theory.
Oh.
But Glavine seemed to throw inside off the plate for effect, to go back to changeup. But Hamels gets strikeouts and gets outs inside.
Stephen Vogt takes a ball. Vogt has struck out and hit a fly ball to right field. Stephen Vogt had 6 hits in that series in Kansas City. 3 doubles, a home run. He knocked in 7 runs. Of course, 5 of those 7 came last night. 12 home runs, 48 RBIs now for Vogt. Yeah, that one is belted deep but foul.
Oh, he looked for that and got it. Well, last night, what a night for Stephen Vogt. As he told us after, he thought that Wilkins would throw him the breaking ball, trying to get a ground ball for double play. He hung it. And then big Chris Young gave up a home run to Voter, and nice enough, as he said, to stick around and be on an interview last night, post game. And he said, well, I was on the bench anyway. So thank you.
We like interviewing. He's good.
He's a great interview. And you know, the way he was talking about some of the young players, I think that's special, because Stephen himself is really just a 3+ year player. And yet he looks at some of these young players coming up. It's got to be thrilling for him to see them perform as well as they have been.
And Stephen Vogt will be arbitration eligible for the first time this offseason.
Good.
So, first chance for Stephen to make a little money.
Well, I think when you have a catcher who can be a run producer, he's been a very good hitter. But all he said, I want to catch 162 games. I want to do the job behind the plate. And that's special when you have a catcher like that.
Runner goes on the 3-2 pitch and 2 outs, and Vogt takes the walk.
And I always thought, as a catcher, what you don't do with the bat, you can do behind the plate with your pitcher. And Stephen Vogt, as his #1 priority, is handling the pitching staff. And from somebody who's going to call it quits a few years back, here he is, an all-star and playing well, and really the leader on this ball club. I think Bob Melvin, talking to Ken Korak at his manager show, and talking about the importance of having the quality leader that Stephen Vogt is not on the field, but in the clubhouse.
So signs are given, and here's Brett Eibner. Eibner had a RBI single in the 4th inning.
Yeah, watch vote at first base. He's going to get a big lead. He'll watch the runner at second base, Valencia, in case he runs. And of course, the signs given by Lucroy are to say, I'm going to throw to second if it's a double steal. I don't think either one will be running.
A's have 5 hits in the game. The Rangers 4. There has not been an error. Eibner, left field, down the line, into the corner, and that baby's gone. That's a 3-run shot for Brett Eibner. 6-2, the A's lead. Towering drive right down the left field line.
Oh, he talked about Hamels pitching inside. The pitch that Eibner got, he drove in a run his last at bat with a runner at third. Infield in this time with 2 outs. Another 3-run home run. Look at the pitch. How he brought his hands in and hit it down the line. Definitely sounded like the home run distance. And it carried and stayed inside the line. And plenty of distance for a long 3-run home run. That's 5 3-run home runs on his road trip. And the A's did not have one in September until they went to Kansas City. Pull the hands in. You stay in there. Hitters are going to make adjustments and look. And that is a huge home run considering the Rangers scored 2 to make it a 1-run game.
And this one hit up the middle. And there's the first big league hit for Renato Nunez. So congratulations to the young man. He was 0 for 7 before that hit. Wash will make sure it goes to the right person.
They have an MLB authenticator now. Alonso playing a little trick, throwing what they assumed was the ball, which was not. But Nunez with the first pitch up the middle, a little clap of the hand, saying, "I finally got it." He does. That's against Cole Hamels.
So he's got a batting average. That's all that matters. Here's Joey Wendell.
Cole Hamels is going to be upset. The home run, yes, but the walk to Stephen Vogt. Good at bat by Voter to draw the walk to bring Eibner up and hit the 3-run home run.
Yeah, Stephen Vogt, the only left-handed. I take that back. One of 2 left-handed hitters. Wendell's the other one in the lineup. But that's a huge walk. Tap to Odor. Nice hop. But the A's do damage. A 3-run homer by Brett Eibner, his 3rd home run as a member of the Athletics. So the A's answer right back with the 3 spot. Bottom of the 6th coming up. A's leading 6-2.
To launch the Fitness Sluggers program designed to educate and encourage youth to live healthy and active lifestyles. Participants can compete in the monthly fitness challenges with select winners eligible for A's game tickets, other A's opportunities. Take the Fitness Sluggers pledge. Download the Fitness Sluggers posters by visiting athletics.com/fitness.
Brett Eibner, 3-run homer to give the A's the 6-2 lead. So let's see if Kendall Graveman can get himself a shutdown inning. He'll face the heart of the order. He faced these same three in the 4th inning and went 3 up, 3 down. So 1-1 to Carlos Beltran. Fly ball to center, fly ball to left. Beltran with 419 career home runs. Again, foul back.
Well, one thing that Beltran has not lost is his ability to get the bad hit through the hitting zone.
Switch hitters, he's 4th on the list.
And he is just so quick he starts, but once he starts his swing, just gets the head through so quickly, almost like he's using a toothpick for a bat.
And he really doesn't, it doesn't appear that he's really swinging very hard. Yoni Kella warming up. No fishing net down there, and it worked that time. It could be that Cole Hamels is done for the night.
Well, the Rangers do have the luxury of not pushing guys, but they also know that they want to try to win to get home field advantage.
Line drive headed for the right field corner. Beltran rounds first, Beltran to second, and he's got a leadoff double. So a line shot into the corner, 31st double of the year for Carlos Beltran.
And just showing the quickness of his bat is Kendall Graveman. And that ball just, he can wait. And we've talked about guys shortening up their swings a little bit. 2 strikes, he's a classic example. He does not really swing hard with a couple of strikes, but he's so quick through the zone.
He now has 534 career doubles. So here's Beltran. Kind of a relentless lineup. Graveman's done a good job so far. Not close. Indians leading the Tigers 7-4 in the bottom of the 7th in Cleveland. Indians creeping closer to a division title. Tigers 6 back in the division, but they're right in the heart of the wild card race.
That's a big series for Cleveland, especially in Cleveland, because the Tigers have kind of owned them in the past.
Recently, Tigers not playing well. They've lost 6 out of 9, and the Indians' magic number to clinch the division is 11. So that is the Central. Indians 84 and 62, winning tonight at home against the Tigers.
Damage control for Kendall Graveman. Anytime a pitcher has a lead, a leadoff double, and just not want to complicate matters by pitching carefully and falling behind hitters. He's done that to a pretty good power hitter, Beltran.
And that one is flared over first, and it's a fair ball. Beltran scores. Beltran hustling to second, and he's in with an RBI double. And he and Marcus Semien fall over. Everybody seems to be okay, help each other up. And when it's all said and done, Beltran with an RBI double, and now it's 6-3.
Well, he fell behind. Big swing by Beltran. Big swing, big bloop, but still got the job done. He's just such a dangerous hitter. That gives him, what, 98 runs batted in. And close play at second. Beltran kind of going in at a different angle with the ball coming in from right field. Looking back, had to hurry and saw where the throw was coming. Made sure he got a little bit in line. Kept the foot on the bag.
So his doubles 587. By the way, how about the career numbers for Beltran and Beltran? And they're going to play for a while.
Yeah.
So still nobody out. Here's Odor. Sean Doolittle starts to throw in the A's bullpen. Odor swings and misses. Couple of left-handed hitters down toward the bottom of the Rangers lineup. Moreland and Mazzara. So Doolittle getting ready for those guys. 0-2 now to Odor, who has grounded out twice to Joey Wendell at second base.
And if he does that now, he'd put a runner at third base, but these pitches outside and just keeps running away from him. And good location by Kendall Graveman. Steven Vogt setting up outside with the ball running away from the left-hander.
Checked his swing and he did not go. 44 comeback wins by the Rangers, most in the majors. 18 last at bat wins, second most. And of course, a comeback win, it doesn't have to be in the late innings. Anytime you're trailing in the game and you come back to win, and that's a base hit to center field. Beltre to third, he's being held up, and the Rangers have 3 straight hits off Graveman here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
What's bad about that is the fact 2-strike hit. 2-strike hit to Beltran, the double down the right field line, and now with Odor going out there again, but just reached out. He elevated the pitch. That's the difference in this one. It was up high enough that he could reach it. It's down low. He might swing through it. And again, damage control. Cannot let it get out of hand.
So that'll bring up Jonathan Lucroy. 77 pitches for Kendall Graveman. Lucroy has struck out and he has walked and scored. First pitch is low.
Well, the A's would gladly take a ground ball by Lucroy to get 2. Let the run score. Get it back to a 2-run game, but take 2 big outs if they could get it with Kendall Graveman.
That one a strike. Mitch Moreland will be next. And indeed, you got to keep an eye on Odor. He's got 13 steals. Rangers as a team, 86 stolen bases, 4th most in the American League, so that's just another thing they do. They're 5th in home runs, they're 3rd in the league in total runs scored. So a very well balanced offense. Lucroy takes low, 2-1.
Those are good pitches for a pitcher, and for a hitter, if he swings, it's probably going to be a ball hit to the ground. Remember Detweiler, when he pitched to Adrian Beltre here with the bases loaded last time the A's were in town, threw a 2-0 changeup. Beltre didn't swing, then hit a slam on a fastball.
Graveman has it. He's going to go after the runner at third, and Beltre will be in a rundown, and the tag put on by Steven Vogt, and he got him. They'll stare at each other a little bit, have a little fun. And now Beltre's out. He was called out earlier. But you got to give Beltre a little credit, Ray. He stayed in there long enough. Odor went all the way to third, so that's a big 90 feet.
Well, Kendall Graveman could have gone to second and really conceded the run, but Beltre, by doing this, he tagged him there. I don't know why Steven Vogt went after him. And a little smile on the face, but Moreland's going to face Doolittle. And not the double play, and now Melvin will go for a lot more with Doolittle facing the lefty.
So when it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Here comes Sean Doolittle.
Season ticket or season with your own Oakland Athletics team photo presented by Zevia, the zero-calorie soda. Sunday, September the 25th, final home game for the Athletics. That's the A's versus the Rangers. 10,000 fans will go home with a 2016 team photo. Perfect souvenir for your home or office. For information and tickets, head to athletics.com/tickets.
So 6-3, A's leading the Rangers. First and third, one out. So Doolittle comes in here in the 6th.
He has come back and he's been throwing hard. 39th appearance for the A's left-hander, and really right now, if he gets a ground ball, that's great, but otherwise he's looking for a strikeout.
First pitch, fastball is high.
That's the velocity for Sean Doolittle has to be great for him and for the Athletics to be able to see their lefty come in and throw without any sort of pain and have the velocity that he has.
Moreland, 1 for 2. He singled in the 3rd and then lined out in the 5th.
Odor at third is doing exactly what a base runner should do. Healy's well off the line. There's no chance for a pickoff, and he's just going to walk and walk and walk down the line. And Doolittle's got his back to him. You don't want a trick play where Doolittle throws to first to try to get Luke Roy, and Odor comes down the line and he's doing it there. I mean, he can fake as much as he wants, because Healy's not even close.
But listen, Odor taking off for the home plate, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Exactly. Even with a left-handed hitter.
That's just the way he plays. And Healy sneaks over there a little bit. Base hit right field. So Moreland lines a single to right. Odor scores 6-4. So Moreland does not play all the time against left-handers. Left in there to hit off Doolittle, and he comes through.
On a state fastball, and he got the fastball. He knows it. I mean, Sean Doolittle is not going to trick anybody with off-speed pitch. He's going to go right at you with a fastball, and when he pitches down in the zone, as we have always said, it's pretty inviting for a hitter.
So now we are going to have a pinch hitter for Mazara. It's Ryan Rua. So Rua for Mazara here in the 6th. First pitch is a fastball just a little bit high. So Kendall Graveman, 4 earned runs in 5 1/3. Fouled straight back. Just looking at Mazzara, he's hitting .241 against left-handers. Urua .295.
I think Kendall Graveman might have run out of gas. He had the Cincinnati game. That was a day game, but it is hot. And just look at him and pitching late in the season. A lot of starts for him, and just have to wonder if pitching in this heat that might have affected him.
A little bit inside, 2-1. Off-speed pitch that time from Doolittle.
Just the 6th inning, and it looks like it's a bullpen game all the way. Hamels may be finished.
Roy had a pretty good rip that time, 2-2. 4 hits in the inning for the Rangers. Ryan Dole starts to throw. Bob Melvin maybe realizing that this may be the most important inning, even though it's only the 6th. Roy again fouls it.
That's amazing, the career that Sean Doolittle has had and expected to have even greater. And he's one pitch, and for him, as we have seen, when he throws hard, but it's a location, and hitters really can just sit there and think about the velocity, the fastball. It's 2-2, and I don't think there's any other pitch that Roy's going to get except a fastball.
And he drills one right center. Smolinski coming in, and he's got it.
It's 2 outs, Jake.
Well, actually, I said right center, a little more right, directly at the right fielder, but
Fortunately, as Jake was running in, he realized nobody else was leaving the field, so he decided, let's get the ball back in the infield, which is a good idea. Catches it, and third out, let's just head a dugout, and whoa, wait a minute, why are those guys standing there? This maybe there's just one out.
No harm done.
Now, maybe he was Deacon, and maybe he's trying to get Lucroy to go to third.
So 2 outs. Here's Elvis Andrus. Sacrifice and an RBI double. So he's had a productive night at the plate.
Well, that last at bat proved that you fall behind him, he's going to turn it up a notch or two, load up a little bit earlier, took a fastball in and pulled it. So the key, get ahead of him.
Doolittle trying to get the A's back in the dugout with the lead. It was 6-2. Now it's 6-4. Missed inside to Elvis Andrus. As we showed you earlier, very tough with runners in scoring position. High in the air towards center, playable for Eibner, who backs up, waits. He's got it, side retired. 2 runs on 4 hits for the Rangers. 7th inning coming up. It's the A's 6 and the Rangers 4.
To the voice of the Oakland A's, Glenn Kuiper.
Davis, line drive, headed for the left field corner, fair ball. One hops the wall. Valencia to third. The ball is dropped. They're waving it home. Here comes Valencia. The throw, not in time, and the A's are going to win it. Well, thanks, Carson. Superstars Miley Cyrus and Alicia Keys join Adam Blake and Carson on TV's #1 unscripted series, The Voice, when it returns Monday night at 8 p.m. only on NBC. 6-4 A's lead the Rangers top of the 7th. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Keone Kela comes in. So it is indeed a bullpen game. First pitch to Jake Smolinski is in for a strike. So Cole Hamels, 6 runs allowed in 6 innings. Smolinski could not hold up, 0-2. We talk about those walks with Cole Hamels. He walked 3 tonight, Ray, but 2 scored. So it was an issue for him again.
Well, the walks in front of the home runs too, and that's the walk Stephen Vogt.
That's right.
And then it was the walk by Valencia in front of Chris Davis's home run. So it's the old saying about, well, matter of fact, they have one. There's the 9 for him. 96 pitches, a bunch of pitches for him through 6 innings. 3 walks. I mean, it's not a line he's probably proud of, but it's one that the Rangers, I tell you, if he could pitch in postseason, teams can get him out after 6 innings. They have to be ecstatic.
No question. He's got great postseason numbers, but not pitching that great down the stretch here. So maybe that's a little bit of a concern for the Rangers. Although, hey, sometimes once you get into postseason, all is forgotten. So Ryan Rua stays in the game in left field. Carlos Gomez slides over to right. Mazzara is out. 1 away here in the 7th as Marcus Semien steps up. First pitch in their first strike.
Thinking about the Cubs. They have a great season. Clinch. A couple of weeks plus before, actually about 3 weeks before they actually play a game in the division series. And once they play that game, they won't have a 17-game lead.
That's a good point.
You know, because
I think I heard them talking about that today.
That right?
Well, I think it's exactly 3 weeks from today.
Because
Friday.
of the National League Division Series. They have to go through the wild card, which is Tuesday American, Wednesday National. So 3 weeks, and that's what will happen.
It's an interesting argument whether it affects a team or not. Some say yes, some say no.
Well, the one thing they will have is home field advantage. And with that, you know, they hope they can get off playing whoever they're going to play. It's going to be the wild card team because they're going to have the best record.
Well, Marcus Semien strikes out for the 3rd time. That
wild card team could be a hot team.
Sure.
Because they're going to play Wednesday, and then whoever wins Wednesday is going to play Friday. He has always had a great curveball, and he just threw it there in the dirt. Check swing, could not hold up, and once again Lucroy blocking the ball, which he did several times with Cole Hamels on the mound.
So 2 outs here in the 7th, and Danny Valencia will hit. Down around the knees for a strike. 97 miles an hour for Kela.
Had a bad game last month against the A's, but it was also the game that Rougned Odor was hit by a pitch for a walk-off. It's not a good series for the A's in the 3 games against the Rangers here.
And Kela had surgery, some bone strips removed from his elbow in April.
And just a couple appearances against the A's before tonight, and if he's healthy coming down the stretch, that's got to be beneficial to the Rangers because he's good a pitcher.
0-2 pitch, fastball, and Valencia rips it into center field for a hit. So Danny Valencia is 2 for 3. Too good of a pitch on 0-2. Valencia says, "I'll take it."
Well, Lucroy outside the pitch, more towards the inside part of the plate, and the difference of Lucroy with the right-hander versus Hamels the lefty, he goes away against the righty 0-2, whereas he was calling pitches inside with the lefty, Hamels to the righties.
So here is Chris Davis. Walk, homer, fly ball to right. Big swing to the screen.
Well, I guess Cole Hamels in the 4th inning. Right center field, and this is a long shot. And again, no jet stream. Who knows, that might have gone to the upper deck with the jet stream, but over the bullpen as a right-handed hitter. It's like going over the bullpen at Fenway Park if you're a right-handed hitter, and not many can do that.
Got a couple fastballs to hit. And he generally takes a really good rip at a fastball. Outfield playing extremely deep. Ian Desmond, I don't know, Ray. No, I do know. In this ballpark, I've never seen anybody play that deep.
Only thing they've got.
Look at where he's playing.
With 2 outs, it has to be no doubles in play.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
But I still say, how fast can you run for a ball that goes into the gap left center, right center? Because I don't know, as hard as Chris Davis hits him, if he does hit him, can you get to the ball quickly enough, keep it from going to the wall, which would help Valencia score from first. Chris Davis on the curveball. Have to watch the top head of the bat.
Alex Claudio getting ready, the left hand. Curveball, strike 3 called. Davis knew it. Good pitch right on the outside corner. So a hit and a runner left. We've reached the 7th inning stretch from Globe Life Park in Arlington. 6-4 A's lead.
Baseball on CSN California is brought to you by Toyota, the full-line automaker with the longest-lasting vehicles in America. Toyota, let's go places. And by Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience TV.
And a big 3-run home run to help the A's take a 6-4 lead. That was Brett Eibner. And time now for the Ford right choice. This is a big play early in the ball game, and let's hope the A's can look at this and say thank you, because this is going to be a ground ball with a run scored. But Gomez at second on the force out. Watch Wendell catch the ball, get out of the way as Gomez goes through. Not only passes the bag, but grabs Wendell by the legs. Alan Porter calls it interference. That's a double play, and no run scores. And Gomez just overly aggressive, and turned out to be a big run the A's did not give up. And just a simple slide. Joey Wendell, the ball was hit too slowly to be a double play. But the A's got a break. They can hold on for another 9 outs and make it beneficial.
When it's time for a change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Ryan Dole gets the 7th inning for the A's. 65th appearance. He's 5-4 with a 2.24 ERA. Well, he's really had a nice season. First full year in the big leagues. Made quite an impression last September. Defensively, the A's bring in Yonder Alonso at first. He is in there for Danny Valencia. So it'll be the top of the order for the Rangers. So it'll be 9 tough outs to get for the A's. They're going to win their 5th consecutive game. Gomez, Desmond, Beltran. Gomez 0 for 2. RBI ground out when he belts one to left field, and that's deep. And that one is gone. It's 6-5. Jumped on the first pitch. His 10th home run.
Well, if there's ever a guy that's aggressive, he hits the top of the list. So 1 pitch. Ryan Doe gives it up. High fastball. And Carlos Gomez, I think Ryan Doe, by his look, I think he knew it. Gomez running hard just in case, and able to shut it down as the ball carried to left field.
So now it's a 1-run game. Here's Ian Desmond.
I think the problem for Ryan Doe, there's nobody on base.
Got to inherit me some runners, huh? So he's 5th here with the Texas Rangers. You know, we've kicked that thought about 1-run games, Ray.
Yeah.
What does it mean? And the Rangers are terrific in 1-run games. They're 33-10, which, okay, hey, they're a really good team. But what does that mean? Well, I looked up the 1-run records. The Cubs are 21-23 in 1-run. It is a hard record to figure out. What does it mean if you have a good 1-run record? Good breaking ball there, and Desmond strikes out.
Well, I think combined those numbers that you mentioned, and we talked about it earlier about the number of come from behind victories.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a different deal.
Because you know, 33-10, 33 wins, of course, in 1-run games, most of the majors, and you know, I've always felt that playing close games, 1-run games going into postseason, those are the type of games you're expected to play anyway. Yeah, and you play those during the season, it helps you in the postseason, but. You know, when you come from behind, I mean, this ball club is down 3-0, 6-2, and now it's 6-5. And with, again, just the 7th inning.
1 pitch is a strike, 0-2. Well, another example, Boston Red Sox, very, very good team, right? I mean, as good as anybody. 16-22.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's good, obviously, to have a good record in 1-run games, but it doesn't mean anything. It's not a guarantee that you're a good team or a bad team. So Beltran strikes out. So after the home run, 2 strikeouts for Dole. Nice bounce back. Now he's got to get out of the inning.
You know, over the course of a season, you'll look at those games, and maybe the Rangers will look at their success and say, this is why we're in first place. But if you have other teams that don't, then they're in first place also. So, I mean, it can work both ways.
Exactly.
But if you lose, and you start thinking, how many one-run games could we have won that helped us win the division?
That one's belted to center. Eibner hustles back, and Eibner makes the catch. So a solo home run by Carlos Gomez. We're going to the 8th. It's now 6-5.
Memberships are on sale right now. Whether you want to renew your membership or join the party, visit athletics.com/2017. Find all the benefits that A's membership has to offer, including early bird incentives, exclusive experiences, half-price parking, flexible ticket exchange program, and more. You can even lock in your 2017 seating location. Visit athletics.com/2017. Join the party today.
So, new pitcher for the Rangers, Matt Bush. When it's time for change, think Speedy Oil Change and Auto Service, your oil change, tune-up, and repair experts. Hard-throwing right-hander Matt Bush. 7 wins, 2 losses, good 2.82 ERA. He'll face Healy, Vogt, and Eibner. And the first pitch is a fastball high.
If Ventura hit him with a 96 in the left side and caused a huge bruise, what do you think a 98 would do? Let's hope it doesn't happen.
Healy 2 for 3 with 2 doubles and a good swing at a fastball. That one coming in a little bit at 97. Healy got the bat head out.
And the biggest game the A's had against Bush was back on the 27th of July. Blown save, 4 hits, 4 runs, and I'd like to do something because he just throws fastballs 95 plus. We'll throw breaking pitches, but mostly just the fastball.
High in the air down the right field line. Gomez near the seats, and it's just into the seats. The Orioles came back and beat the Rays. Well, the Orioles needed that. They scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and they beat the Rays 5-4. So the Orioles win game 2 of that series. Astros Mariners are underway. McHugh and Hernandez. Mariners making major noise. They've won 8 in a row. That's the first of 3 in Seattle. The Mariners just 2 back of the Blue Jays. Blue Jays are the second wild card team. Actually, Baltimore and the Blue Jays tied. They have the 2 wild cards, same record, but add a win to the Orioles as they just finished that up. Inside again, 2-2. The Jays and the Angels just getting started out in Anaheim. Game 2 of that 4-game series. Blue Jays won last night over the Angels behind Jay Happ getting his 19th win. Two pitch on the ground, right side. Odor scoops it up. So 1 out here in the top of the 8th inning.
Saying almost like he was looking curveball something, because fastball got in on him. And the fact that Bush does throw mid to upper 90s makes it a little bit more difficult. He did foul a curveball, which is pretty special when you have to be thinking good fastball.
So with 1 out, Stephen Vogt steps up for his 4th at bat. 0 for 2, walked and scored in the 6th. First pitch strike to Vogt.
Tip your hat with that curveball. So not going to hit it. Might as well take it. Hope it's a ball. It was a strike.
And he loops one into right field, and that's a base hit. So Stephen Vogt gets his first hit, and for the A's, that's their 9th hit tonight. Each team now with 9 hits.
Why wouldn't he back it up with another curveball? You know, you throw a curveball and then come right back with a fastball. Hitters are going to look fastball. They're not going to expect to see a lot of back-to-back off-speed pitches unless you're an off-speed type pitcher. And Matt Bush more of a fastball pitcher. And that's why for Cole Hamels, when he threw back-to-back changeups to Valencia, but then came in with a fastball.
Bush. So here's Eibner. Big hit for Eibner.
Everybody knows Bush being a good fastball pitcher, but more he throws his breaking pitches and can throw them for strikes. Hitters really aren't going to swing at them.
Eibner with a 3-run homer in the 6th inning.
Well, with Hamels trying to go inside, and again, Darren Bush, the A's hitting coach, maybe picking up a pattern of Lucroy and Hamels. Look inside, you open up just enough. It's like getting a fastball down the middle of the plate. Eibner hit it well.
Eibner also had an RBI single in the 4th inning, so he has 4 RBIs tonight. He's been playing quite a bit against left-handers, but also a little bit against right-handers, and facing Bush here in the 8th.
Not much Darren Bush can tell the hitters except turn it up a notch. To get a breaking ball, hope it's not a strike.
Inside with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. Well, we've seen Matt Bush breaking ball, and it's a good one.
Yes, it is.
Slider.
It's a surprisingly good breaking pitch, and that's why, I mean, almost the left elbow. That's a good time to pull the elbow back. You don't want to take one for the team there.
No. Eibner swings through it, and the count is 2-2.
One that almost hit him, and this one down the middle and could not catch up to it. Well, as much as you'd like to say, just I'm going to sit fastball. If he throws a breaking ball here, he's guaranteed to throw a fastball. Heater.
And he goes 97 miles an hour to get the strikeout. So Eibner probably looking fastball, and he got fastballs. He just could not connect.
Well, the 2-2 count really benefits a hitter with a pitcher who throws as hard as Matt Bush does. I don't think you can even realize or think about a curveball that if he misses, because he does not want to get to that point.
So with the Renato Nunez spot coming up, here's Max Muncy. So he will hit for Nunez. Nunez got his first big league hit in the 6th inning, a base hit up the middle.
Jumped on a first pitch fastball after Eibner 3-run home run. So Nunez, little top of the hands. Yep, got it. Give me the baseball. And I'll take my first hit. And you can think about it, since right now it's going to be pinch hit for it.
Oh, we saw Yonder switch the balls in his hand. So Muncy steps up. Face the hard throwing Matt Bush. First pitch, there's that slider, and it's a good one.
Sitting on the bench and think you get a chance to hit. I want to say Muncy had another opportunity with Matt Bush last month and similar type pitches. He's thinking fastball against nothing but all speed pitches.
Hits that one hard off the railing of the Rangers dugout. Crowd tonight here at Globe Life Park, 30,486. Rangers averaging over 33,000 this season. 0-2 pitch. There's the breaking ball down and in. That's probably a pretty good spot to throw your slider on 0-2 to a left-handed hitter. Get some guys to swing at that.
He's been consistent tonight, blocking pitches in the dirt, whether it was Hamels, kid in the last inning, and now Matt Bush this inning. Fastball up.
And it was up. So 2-2 to Muncy. Joey Wendell would be next if Muncy could get aboard.
They might be happy to see a right-hander.
Two-two pitch got him swinging. So a couple of strikeouts for Matt Bush, and we are going to the bottom of the 8th. A's 6, Rangers 5.
Is presented by authority of the Oakland Athletics and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
This game summary brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Tight ball game tonight. 6-9-0 for the A's, 5-9-0 for the Texas Rangers. Graveman went 5 1/3. Cole Hamels went 6. Ryan Healy stays hot. And the A's with a couple of home runs tonight. Eibner a 3-run shot. Chris Davis a 2-run shot. For Chris Davis, it was home run number 38. So the new pitchers, Liam Hendricks, right to work as he'll face Odor, Lucroy, and Moreland. So the Rangers have chipped back. At one point it was 6-2, but they got 2 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th to make it a 6-5 game. First pitch, Odor rips it off the glove of a diving Simeon into center field for a hit. Odor is 2 for 4. Well, he hits the ball hard.
Especially with Simeon playing up the middle and the dive. That's how hard the ball was hit. Hendricks had the ball off the mound, tried to kick save, could not do that.
So the tying run aboard. Here's Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy, a strikeout, a walk, and a run scored, and he reached out a fielder's choice. 1 for 2. Make that 0 for 2. Liam Hendricks is the 4th pitcher for the A's. Graveman went 5 1/3. Doolittle 2/3 of an inning, and Dull 1 full inning. That was the 7th. He gave up the home run to Gomez. Pitch is down and away.
Hendricks has a good fastball and not necessarily movement for a ground ball. Yet keeps it down, he might get it. That one's down, but no swing. That would have been a good ball to hit into a double play. Fastball down in the zone. Hendricks, great velocity. Sometimes the hitter takes a pitch saying, I'm not going to do anything with it. I'll take it and try to get a better pitch to hit.
And you never know with Odor, the situation here. Lucroy, he's one of those guys that has very good bat control. I mean, he can shoot the ball through the hole on the right side. So 1-1 the count. Odor has a good lead. And he bluffed going, and the ball is hit in the air. Shallow left center. And Eibner takes charge, and that is out number 1.
I'm trying to think of Odor. How many games was he suspended with the, is it 5?
7? I'm guessing.
5, 7, something like that. But you think of the numbers he's put up with that suspension.
That's true.
He missed a full week.
Yeah, that's true.
And that was, of course, early in the season against the Blue Jays. 7 games, yeah.
I mean, yeah, and he was going to play in all 7.
Sure, he's playing every day. So 31 home runs, missing 7 because of that. Like a guy going to the disabled list. But yeah, it was higher. 8 was it, then reduced to 7, but still 7 games that he missed while healthy. And a great season for him, and the MVP. Mentioning by a lot of people. A lot of the Rangers are. A few of them are for sure.
Well, he's not going to win it, but he may get some votes. Yeah. 0-1 the count to Mitch Moreland. He's got 2 hits tonight. Odor just 22 years old, so bright future.
If they gave the huge contract to Elvis Andrus, I would think that he's going to be at the top of the list too with Odor.
Good call, yeah. Swing and a miss. 0-2. This was what the suspension was for. Jose Bautista. A little disagreement at second base, and Odor did not wait around to throw a punch. And he got him. If you're into that kind of stuff, Odor connected. It was a pretty good little scrap. Odor plays with a high amount of intensity. He's got a lot of flair, and he will rub other teams the wrong way.
And you think
it's just the way it is.
They played in October last year in Toronto. Just think if the 2 teams meet. They have not played since that incident. That was the beginning of the season. It's the Blue Jays, Rangers in separate divisions, different divisions. So just imagine the Blue Jays coming to this place with a full pack, a full house. And good fastballs from Liam Hendricks that elevated them to Mitch Moreland. And Babe Moreland could not catch up to it against the Athletics. A couple of hits, one against the lefty, but against the righty, Liam Hendricks could not catch the fastball. So pinch hitter for the pinch hitter, Rua.
Maybe jerks in profile. So Profar will hit here in the 8th inning. So Ray, if you're a baseball fan, which we all are, and you don't have necessarily a rooting interest for one team or another, and you just wanted to have good theater, a Rangers Blue Jays playoff series this year would be
That's right.
one that you would watch. There he goes. Good jump. Throw to second base. And Simeon dropped the ball. It was going to be close. I don't know if they would have had him, maybe. Alan Porter did not signal out or safe. He waited, and then he saw where Simeon dropped the ball.
Boy, got a great jump, and Stephen Vogt with a quick throw and throw right on the bag. And usually the runner slides in. Yeah, it was surprising. It was as close as.
That was close. Like he may have been out, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, he would have. He got him in the chest before the right hand got on the bag.
But he never had control of the ball. He missed it on the catch.
What a jump. I mean, it's amazing to be as close as it was, considering the shot that we had. He was 3/4 of the way to second base.
Here's Jerkson Profar, and now it's 2-0. So just like that, the tying run at second base. Now watch this jump.
And it's straight steal all the way, but you're right there. If he catches it, tags him in the midsection. And Odor would never have gotten the bag. The throw was in front of the bag.
2-0 pitch in first strike.
Say what you want about Stephen Vogt. They always talk about arm strength. Of course, they had one of the best with Bud Rodriguez. But the quickness of releasing the ball, getting to second base, and right here, catch, tag. See, actually, the ball didn't hit the ground. It hit it off the end of his glove. Did not go into the pocket.
See how Odor just extended the right arm and pulled the left arm back. That's pretty heads up slide. Watch.
Yeah, he's going to the right arm, but still right there. If he catches it, his hands a foot off the bag. But Marcus catching the ball, and usually you want the fielder at the bag, but this time it would have worked for the A's had Marcus been able to hang on to it.
3-1 to Profar. Profar, big swing. He was trying to give the Rangers the lead.
Tell you what, as much as Liam Hendricks' fastball is good, and that swing indicated that there's one pitch that he's looking for. Profar is looking for one pitch, and that's a fastball. Could bury a slider. Back foot, miss. You got the right-hander in the on-deck circle. But you have to throw it hard, can't make a mistake. It would be a secondary pitch. But Profar is one of those hitters we talked about that gets 2 strikes or count in his favor, which 3-1, 3-2 would be. He's not shortening up his swing.
Elvis Andrus is the on-deck hitter. The 3-2 pitch, high fastball, and he's able to lay off. Well, he wanted to go after it.
Bob Melvin taking a deep breath. And the high fastball, Profar started, stopped. And really not close as he kept the bat pointing back towards Stephen Vogt.
So 2 on, 2 out, and here's Andrus.
This guy must be fast.
Jared Hoying.
Because Profar is pretty fast. If you're pitch running for Profar, this guy's very fast.
First pitch to Andrus. Hit hard. Simeon can't pick it up clean, and everybody's safe. So it was a hard hit ball just to the left of Marcus Simeon, and he just could not pick it up clean.
It was hit hard. Just see where Odor, runner at second base, see where he is at second. This ball hit hard, and he let the ball go through his legs and maybe disrupted a little bit. And almost hit his left foot, but Marcus Simeon off the glove and could not handle it.
So it is an error. First error of the night for either team, and let's hope it's not a costly one. So,
the biggest thing right now is this first pitch. First pitch to Gomez. He's aggressive.
Well, he's aggressive, and you know what, Ray? He wants to be a hero.
That's exactly right.
So maybe you can play into his aggressiveness a little bit anyway. Gomez, 1 for 3. First pitch. Line drive. Wendell has it. One hop. Throws to first in time. Nice play by Joey Wendell. That was not an easy play. So the Rangers threaten, but they leave him loaded, and he's hanging on to a 6-5 lead. Sports news for the Bay Area fan. Check it all out on Sportsnet Central. It's brought to you by Hyundai tonight at 10:30 on our sister station, CSN Bay Area. 49ers Anthony Davis making news again. Is he retiring? Is he not retiring? And the Raiders and the Falcons, we'll get you ready for that. And the Golden Greats, Friday's best plays. That's all coming up tonight. Fallon Smith and Ed Fareed will host Sportsnet Central. Try to give them some highlights from a win. Never easy here in this ballpark. A's hanging on to a 6-5 lead. Sam Dyson comes in. He's the Rangers closer, and he is the fourth pitcher of the night. The Rangers bullpen has done a good job tonight keeping it close, allowing them to sneak back into it.
And Joey Wendell leading off, but what a play he made. Bases loaded, rookie to his left, hard hit ball, and got the foul out last inning, and that's a big play. Gets by him, and a couple of runs scored.
He bounces this one to Odor, who comes in, gets a big hop. Yeah, it looked like it had a little bit of a funky hop to it.
On the aggressiveness of Carlos Gomez, not surprising here, as Liam Hendriks got it, and Gomez with the ball kind of slicing away, took the big hop off the dirt, got the throw, and Hendriks That's a good comeback after an infielder makes an error. Should have been out of the inning with a ground ball. Makes an error and he comes back and gets another ground ball and gets the out.
Strike to Smolinski, who is 0 for 4. He has grounded out 3 times and popped to short. In the 9th inning, in the bottom of the 9th, it'll be Desmond, Beltran, and Beltre. So the 2, 3, 4 hitters. And Ryan Madson getting ready for them. Rangers pitchers have kept the top of the A's order in check tonight, but the rest of the lineup has done a fair amount of damage. Smolinski 0 for 4, Simeon 0 for 4. Carlos Gomez goes back to left field. That's where he started the game. Jared Hoying, who pinch ran, is now in right field. So Gomez has gone left field, right field, back to left field. 2-2 pitch, spins inside, not by much. Payoff pitch, swing and a miss. 96 with quite a bit of movement, and Smolinski strikes out. Tomorrow we'll have game 2 of this 3-game series for you. It'll be Raul Alcantara against Yu Darvish. A couple of right-handers. Coverage begins at 4:30 with A's Pregame Live, and then afterwards you get complete coverage. Sportsnet Central and CSNCalifornia.com. The home of A's baseball is CSN. So tomorrow night, a day game on Sunday, and the A's will head home for their final homestand this season. Always look forward to getting home. Astros will be in town, and then these Texas Rangers. It'll be an off day on Thursday for the Athletics. 1-1 the count. Marcus Semien is 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. A's have struck out 11 times tonight. The Indians beat the Tigers tonight 11-4 in Cleveland.
I'd like to see what the attendance was.
Well, I'm going to find out for you.
Why don't you find out? Because that should be a good attendance.
You would think.
At Progressive Field for a Friday night game against the rival Detroit Tigers.
Beltre charges, bare hands, and he tried to get rid of it and then kind of lost control. Semien will have his first hit. It'll be an infield hit. Beltre was going to do one of those low angle throws, and then he just lost his balance.
Well, charging, and you're right. The only chance, maybe the bare hand, and he was going to let it go. Had it in the palm and slipped out of his hand. For the camera, as that ball did not leave his hand, but maybe that will be a start for the A's with 2 outs. Infield chopper.
Nothing wrong with the idea of an insurance run. Here's Yonder Alonso. His first at bat came in for defense. Danny Valencia was 2 for 3 tonight. So the crowd tonight in Cleveland was 29,000. So it's a pretty good attendance.
They've reduced the capacity there to what, mid-30s?
Yeah. Mike Napoli, how about this, Ray? He was the hero. 3 hits tonight. He had a double, a home run, knocked in 4. He's got 34 home runs and 98 RBIs.
Not a bad guy to pick up
Mike
off the scrap heap. Because
Ain't that the truth?
Cleveland Indians can thank Dustin Pedroia, who saw Tito Francona, and the Indians said, you ought to sign the guy. It's pretty good. Well, Alonso, and this is not quite a pinch hit. It was at first base, but on Tuesday night it was against Soria. A pitch that over the head. Soria with a blown save and a couple of runs scored. Alonso, second pinch hit double of the season. 2 hits in the pinch hitting effort. 2 for 9, but 4 runs driven in with 2 doubles. You know what he said, Kai? Pitch hitting is tough. I said, no kidding. I think everybody realizes that. And
close pitch, now 1-2.
one thing about playing here, you don't have to worry about getting loose. You just grab a bat, take a couple of swings, and you feel like you're ready. Because of the conditions, the weather.
One-two pitch, tapped foul again. And with that Indians win and the Tigers losing, of course, Indians' magic number is now 9. Right to first. Moreland takes a step in, grabs it, steps on the backside, retired. All right, put your seatbelts on. We're headed to the bottom of the 9th here in Arlington. The A's with a 6-5 lead.
Look up with the sky. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's superhero fireworks presented by AAA. These post-game fireworks will be set to some of the best music from superhero movies. Dress as your favorite characters and enjoy the show from the outfield grass as long as space is available. Join A's game and then superhero fireworks right after. Seize your tickets at athletics.com/fireworks. 1 week from tonight, final weekend of baseball at the Coliseum starts with superhero fireworks night. Next Friday night, the 23rd of September.
So the crowd revved up, bottom of the 9th inning. Ryan Madson steps to the rubber. He'll face Ian Desmond, Carlos Beltran, Adrian Beltre. First pitch, curve. Call the ball. And that's what the 3 hitters have done. That's Ryan Madson. Pretty good numbers all around. Another close pitch called the ball. 2-0. Have not missed by a lot. Desmond 5 for 15 with a home run. Beltran may be the one to watch. Now 3-0. Matson trying to pick up his 31st save.
Well, you know, if Dyson gets on, or not Desmond gets on, which A's hope he does not. Beltran's not going to be bunting. Nobody's bunting in this part of the line. They're up there to swing the bat.
Has been with 22 home runs. Quiet tonight, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts, and he hit into a double play. 3-1 pitch is foul back. Good swing.
And there's very little deception on a 3-1 fastball in the middle of the plate. But it just goes to show you that sometimes a 94-mile-an-hour fastball is not as easy to hit as some would think. Would he pull the string? Nope, fastball in.
And that one's hit high down the line, foul. May have been ball 4.
Yes, it was. And it's simply a hitter looking fastball, getting fastball, expanding the strike zone, and not being patient enough to take the walk. Down and in was the location on the sinker. Up and away was the location. And really been great if it's a pop-up caught, but instead it's a foul ball.
So another 3-2. Vogt sets up inside. And the ball's hit to short. Simeon to first in time. 1 out. So nice comeback by Ryan Madson. And Desmond, the very dangerous Ian Desmond, is retired.
Let's hope that sets it up for a clean inning, because when you fall behind, sometimes if you can get the strikes and throw strikes consistently, and especially if the hitter helps by swinging at a pitch out of the strike zone to keep the pitcher alive in this case. But still 2 very tough hitters in Beltran, Beltre.
And the first pitch is a strike on the inside corner.
See how Beltran took that as if he said, you throw a curveball, I'm not looking for it, I'm going to take it. It's a strike. And we got a 2-out or 2-strike hit, a double, and he's throwed it back.
And he drives one right center field. Nobody's going to get it. And Beltran digging for second, and he's going to make it with a sliding 1-out double. Second double of the night for Carlos Beltran.
On a pitch away, the fastball or changeup, whatever it was up, and it was hit to right center by Carlos Beltran. So another double for the excellent hitter into the gap in right center. And they're going to pitch run for him.
No, it's going to be Delano to Shields who comes in to pinch run. So now it's Beltre and Odor.
Last time the A's were in town, there was an intentional walk to load the bases before Sapsinski hit Odor for the walk-off hit battle. And this Adrian Beltre, a tough hitter.
And that one away from Vogt. DeShields is going to try for third. He's going to make it. And now the tying run is at third with 1 out.
Well, they're going to go to the plate. The breaking ball, Stephen Vogt just could not block it. Away from him. And Adrian Beltre saying go. Well, they're going to play the infield in and hope for a ground ball at somebody.
1-0 pitch is belted foul into the upper deck, way up there. 1-1 the count. Oakland A's have had 8 walk-off losses this year, all against AL West teams. 3 at the Astros, 2 at the Rangers. Well, we like Texas, but the fastball is high. 2-1 the count. One of those was July 25th.
Yeah.
That one hurt.
Yeah, it did.
Two and one.
Should have had a 25-man roster.
Blocked by Vogt, now 3-1.
Stephen Voda, an excellent block with a runner at third base. And again, there are two bases open, and you've got the tying run at third, but this is such a dangerous hitter. You saw him expand on the 1-0 fastball up near his head. And I would think he is not up there to take on the 3-1.
And he missed inside, and it's going to be a walk.
And here's your interesting call for your manager. Do you play the infield back and go for the 2 and the win? Like Del Rio and the Raiders going for 2-point play, and they are going to play back. And of course, runners are Kurt Young out to talk, but this is a case where Alonso at first is going to hold the runner. Eibner or Healy at third. They can play there. But it's a full out discussion. This time by Kurt Young, the pitching coach, not the manager Bob Mellon, with regard to the discussion as to what they're going to do.
So you got another pinch runner, Ray. Joey Gallo is the runner at first. So you have a pinch runner in DeShields at third and a pinch runner in Gallo at first. Odor is the hitter. Lucroy is the on-deck hitter. First pitch is high. One thing with Odor, he strikes out a lot. He has struck out 124 times this year. Now, we know he's a very, very tough out, but you can get him to chase, and that is a possibility for Madsen here. Everybody on their feet here at Globe Life Park. Over 30,000 tonight. And that one is a strike on the inside corner. Odor did not agree with the call, so the count even at 1-1.
Well, Odor likes to lean out. Remember, got a hit in his last at bat, which was a pitch outside off the plate.
And that one in off the plate, but he swung at it and rolled it foul. And that pitch looked like about a foot inside. Yeah. So, and that's what I'm talking about. He will chase.
Yeah. Sees fastball, turns on it, and really it's all it's going to be is a foul ball and a strike. The real problem, some hitters you can pull with changeups, others you can't pull it. I think Odor is one of those guys.
1-2 pitch. Fastball high, 2-2.
I mean, if you get to 3-2, maybe. But that's staying with the fastball, and they can either go back inside with the fastball. And I'd say anything off speed, he's going to be aggressive. Gallo's not your prototypical base stealer. Faster than Beltre, but he's going to stay at first, you would think. Fastball in.
And he missed inside, and now a full count. So would Gallo run here?
That's a good call. Odor is such a free swinger. If he strikes out, he throw through. If he does run, and might get the changeup here. I mean, this might be a time to pull the string and try to fade one away from him. Keep it away though.
Gallo takes off, and that one is belted foul. Pitch was up, and Odor way out in front.
And it was a changeup, so he's looking fastball, got the changeup. But Gallo had such a big lead. It's probably the point that if he does run again and there's a strikeout, Stephen Vogt might not throw. Because if he hurries his throw, and the Gallo jump that he got. But here's your big swing, big leg kick, foot down, change up. and yanked it. He would prefer to have it down and away with some really, really differential in the velocity.
Runner goes, swing and a miss on a ball in the dirt, and Odor is out, and that's a huge strikeout. So he went with the off-speed pitch, and you know, you just got to know Odor.
Yeah,
he's going to swing unless it's just completely nowhere near the strike zone.
And that's why that's the location right here, down. He's going to be aggressive. Let him swing at a pitch that's down. Stephen Vogt, a good job blocking the ball. Hit the plate, blocked it. But he wants to swing. He's really undisciplined when it comes to that type of situation. And swing hard, you can get it with a changeup. And it took getting to 3-2 to get it. And he got the big strikeout.
So 2 outs, second and third. Here's Jonathan Lucroy. Lucroy is 0 for 3 with a walk and a run score. First pitch, hit hard, fair, and the Rangers are going to win the game. Jonathan Lucroy hits one down the left field line, drives in 2, and the Rangers have broken the hearts of the A's again. So 7-6 is your final tonight, as the Rangers with another come-from-behind win, and the A's have just seen this too much this year.
You might as well try to start him 3-2, maybe try to strike him out, but first pitch fastball, and he just jumped on it, and not much you could do. Try to go in, pitch down the middle, and Jonathan Lucroy did not waste any time.
So the Rangers get win number 88, and they will celebrate again. Healy with a great effort just could not get it.
No, there's really not much you could do. The ball is hit hard, and Healy right there, just under his glove, and boy, it was going to be tough to throw him out even if he got into it, but unfortunately it got past him, and there's a 2-run base hit and a game winner.
So time of game, 3 hours and 2 minutes in front of 30,486. And the Rangers walk off again against the Athletics. 7-6 is your final score. You've been watching A's Baseball on CSN California, part of the NBC Sports Group. Don't go away. A's Postgame Live with Brody, Shooty, and Joe starts right now.